Chapter 3840. Di Baichen had known Xiren for so many years and knew his character very well. Although he would feel disappointed if he failed the challenge, he was never one to give up easily. He would quickly pull himself together again. Furthermore, Shangguan Yingying was by his side. In front of the woman he loved the most, he would never allow himself to be dispirited. Hence, it was within his expectations that he would pull himself together so quickly. After all, the challenge of the Devil Training Tower was not that easy to pass. So many people present had not been able to pass the challenge, so his failure naturally did not count as much. Hearing Di Baichen's words, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes could not help but soften. The relationship between the two of them is indeed very good. Although Xiren and Shangguan Yingying had always bickered with each other, after this period of interaction he knew very well just how deep the relationship between the two of them was. This kind of love that they had for each other since they were young had seeped into every detail of their lives. At this moment, Di Baichen looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and could not help but frown. Could it be that my wife feels that our relationship is not good enough? Or that my performance at night was not good enough? Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly stunned. After understanding the meaning behind Di Baichen's words, her cheeks quickly flushed red. She glared angrily at Di Baichen. "What nonsense are you spouting?" Di Baichen chuckled. "My wife is not dissatisfied. Then I'm relieved." Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Di Baichen's devilish smile and felt a wave of helplessness in her heart. She could only be bullied by this guy in terms of words. It seems that there is no technique involved in this challenge. Otherwise, when Xiren and Shangguan Yingying would not have failed. That may not be the case. Perhaps they did not really tell Xiren and Shangguan Yingying the technique. If that's the case, then even if we find a way to ask them, they won't tell us. The cultivators present sighed one after another. They had originally thought that Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two had the skills to clear the stage, and had only wanted to ask them for advice. However, judging from the current situation, it was clear that the situation was not as simple as they thought. Killing Qi Field, that was an extremely powerful inheritance. Once one obtained it, one's strength would definitely be different from before. Moreover, the rewards after passing this trial were also extremely shocking. In the past, it was fine if no one succeeded, but now that someone had succeeded and they didn't know how to do it, they were naturally very depressed. Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest stood where they were, feeling the gazes of the crowd. They frowned as they listened to the discussions. "Let's go back first," Bailey Hongzhuang said. "All right." When Xiren nodded. "There were so many people here that it was not a good place to talk. Then we'll go back first. If you decide when to return to Penglai Palace, let us know and we'll go back together," Long Yanwei said slowly. According to his plan, they would be able to leave after when Xiren and Shangguan Yingying had finished clearing the stage. However, since they had not succeeded in clearing the stage, when Xiren and Shangguan Yingying would probably need some time to recover their emotions. They might as well not disturb them. Hearing this, Di Baichen nodded. "All right." After Bailey Hongzhuang and the other four left, Mo Yunjua did not stay for long. Instead, he returned to the cultivation area to cultivate. Chapter 3841. I didn't expect both of us to fail. How depressing, when Xiren couldn't help but sigh as soon as he entered the room. His expression was full of helplessness. Previously, in front of others, he still had some scruples. Now that there was only Di Baichen and Shangguan Ying, there was naturally no need to hide anything. "It's okay. Won't there be another chance in the future? Who knows, we might succeed next time," Di Baichen said. When Xiren shrugged helplessly, "Although that's the case, this kind of demonic barrier isn't something that can be easily broken. If we can't break it now, we might not be able to break it in 10 or 20 years or even in this lifetime." The inner demon barrier was only related to one state of mind. It had nothing to do with age or strength. Perhaps as they grew older and stronger, their obsession would become stronger and stronger. It would be even more difficult to break the inner demon barrier. If that wasn't the case, it wouldn't have remained unsolved for so many years. This proved that if everyone failed the first time, no matter how many times they tried, they still couldn't break it. What's more, seeing the scene that he didn't want to see the most wasn't a good feeling. "Don't worry. Take it slow. Maybe you'll be able to figure it out one day," Bailey Hongzhuang comforted gently. This kind of thing really couldn't be rushed. Only when one state of mind reached a certain level could they break it. The more anxious they were, the more obsessed they were, and the less likely it was to succeed. "That's right. Anyway, we're still young. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Why rush?" Shangguan Yingying looked at Xiren and her eyes suddenly softened. "In my heart, you've always been the best. Even if you can't break through the inner demon barrier, what's so great about that?" Hearing Shangguan Yingying's words, Ziren couldn't help but be stunned. He looked at the former in astonishment and even wondered if he had heard wrongly. In the next second, when Ziren suddenly rushed in front of Shangguan Yingying, he excitedly held Shangguan Yingying's hand, and his eyes flashed with disbelief. Yingying, did you just say that I'm the best in your heart? Looking at Ziren's excited appearance, Shangguan Yingying's expression was a little stiff and even a little shy. Compared to such warm words of praise, she felt more comfortable scolding him on a daily basis. However, thinking about how Ziren had suffered a huge blow today, Shangguan Yingying nodded and said, "That's right." After receiving Shangguan Yingying's confirmation again, Ziren couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. "Yingying, I've been with you for so long, and this is the first time you've spoken the truth." As soon as these words came out, Shangguan Yingying, Di Beiqin, and Bailey Hongzhuang were all stunned. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen such a shameless person. Shangguan Yingying suddenly felt that there was no need for her to comfort him. She rolled her eyes and said, "I was just lying to comfort you." However, Ziren didn't care at all. He smiled and shrugged. "Yingying, you've already spoken the truth. I know everything you're saying now is just because you're shy. I understand." Shangguan Yingying looked at Ziren speechlessly. Her face was full of anger, but deep in her eyes, there was a deep smile. Chapter 38-42. Inside the room. Di Beiqin, what are your plans now? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Di Beiqin. Originally, after talking with Ao Lingxiao, they had already made a decision. However, the current situation was slightly different from what they had expected. Di Beiqin looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and immediately understood what she meant. He said, "Since Ziren and Yingying have not successfully broken through to the Starlight Realm, then we can only wait here for them to break through before we go." Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. She had already guessed that Di Beiqin would make such a decision. Therefore she did not find it strange. "Then we will wait here for a while." Bailey Hongzhuang replied. "You think so too?" Di Beiqin raised his eyebrows. Clearly he did not expect Bailey Hongzhuang to agree without saying anything. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and leaned on Di Beiqin's shoulder. Her voice was gentle and pleasant. "No matter what decision you make, I will support you. Actually, I have the same thoughts as you. Long ago I had already guessed your decision. You have always been a righteous person. Ziren and Yingying have done so much for us. Naturally we cannot abandon them and leave." Di Beiqin nodded slightly and reached out to play with Bailey Hongzhuang's soft and boneless hand. "No one knows me better than Hongzhuang. Since so many years have passed since my birth, there is no need to be anxious. Now that I have some clues from Ao Lingxiao, although I feel that the possibility is very high, it is not necessarily so. After all, the world is so big and there are so many strange things. Anything can happen by coincidence." Di Beiqin's deep eyes were calm. So many years had passed and he had seen a lot of things about his own life. It would be good if he could find his birth parents. However, if he could not, it would not become his regret. Now that he knew, it was just a matter of waiting a few days to meet them. It did not affect anything. On the contrary, Ziren was his brother for more than 20 years. Naturally he would not ignore him. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. "You are right. Actually, whether it is Ziren or Yingying, their cultivation talent is very powerful. I think it will not take them too long to reach the Starlight Realm." "That's right. In this way we can also wait until Ao Lingxiao reaches the Starlight Realm. Then we can go to the Upper Realm together." Di Beiqin smiled faintly. "We don't know anything about that place. It's good to have one more acquaintance. If we have nothing to do tomorrow, let's return to Penglai Palace." Bailey Hongzhuang's dark eyes became deep. "We have been here for several months. It is time to go back and settle the score with Penglai Palace." Di Beiqin and Bailey Hongzhuang looked at each other, their eyes filled with joy. That was then and this is now. Compared to the situation when they first arrived, their strength had greatly improved. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others packed their bags and set off to return to Penglai Palace. Long Yanwei and Yi Zihua walked in front, while the 5 of them followed behind. Steward Qin also came to send them off after knowing that they were leaving. "Come back to me when you have time in the future." Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others nodded. Of course. Master Long, Mentor Yi, you must come back to my place as a guest next time." Chapter 38-43. Steward Qin looked at the 2 of them with envy and helplessness in his heart. Speaking of which, it was he who first met Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. It was also he who first discovered that Bailey Hongzhuang had such powerful medical skills. It was a pity that he failed to recruit Bailey Hongzhuang. Instead, he let Penglai Palace take advantage of it. Penglai Palace was the #1 force on Penglai Island. It was obviously impossible for him to compete with Penglai Palace. This time, Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two obtained the inheritance in the Demon Refining Tower. As a result, even Mo Yunjue joined Penglai Palace. In comparison, Penglai Palace was the one with the most face. As the steward of the Demon Refining Tower, his heart was naturally very bitter. He didn't grasp the great opportunity. What a pity, it was really a pity. Thinking of this, Steward Qin couldn't help but think of the Golden Flame auction house. If the auction house wasn't unwilling to sell the Tears of Cold Flame to him, then it wouldn't have fallen into such a situation. However, he missed it. Now, even if he wanted to recruit them, there was no hope. After all, Penglai Palace could afford the conditions that he could give to Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. What's more, Penglai Palace still had Master Long. It was because of him that Penglai Palace was able to recruit many outstanding talents that other forces couldn't recruit. After bidding farewell to Steward Qin, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others set off on their return journey. After Bailey Hongzhuang and the others returned to Penglai Palace, Chu Yunyao and her sister also received the news immediately. During this period of time, they had been very concerned about the movements of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. After all, after the last incident, they all knew very well that once Bailey Hongzhuang and the others came over, there would inevitably be a fight between them. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others have returned. Chu Yunshang looked at Chu Yunyao and said slowly. Chu Yunyao nodded. So be it. What's the big deal? Looking at Chu Yunyao's indifferent look, Chu Yunshang couldn't help but frown. It is said that in addition to Bailey Hongzhuang, the cultivator who obtained the inheritance of the Demon Refining Tower is also their friend. This time, Master Long and Mentor Yi personally went to the Demon Refining Tower to recruit him. In this way, Bailey Hongzhuang's team will be even stronger. If they take the initiative to provoke us, I will deal with them with you. If they don't come looking for trouble, don't take the initiative to look for trouble and don't go out by yourself. We have to find an opportunity to completely solve this problem. Chu Yunshang's face was a little dignified. Since knowing this news, she only felt that Bailey Hongzhuang and others were really formidable. These fellows had only been in the Penglai Palace for a short period of time. It seemed that every once in a while the strength of their team would increase a little. Moreover, the speed of their improvement was very terrifying. It seemed that as long as they were not careful, their strength would quietly surpass them. This is the Penglai Palace. I don't believe that they would dare to take the initiative to provoke me after only leaving for a few months. Chu Yunyao still didn't care. In her opinion, Chu Yunshang was completely timid. Even a few guys who had just become inner disciples were afraid of her. It was a waste of her strength. Don't be self-righteous anymore. If you lose your life because of this, I'll see what you can do. Chapter 38-44. Sister, I really don't understand. Why is it that the stronger you are now, the more timid you become? Chu Yunyao said with a chagrined expression. Isn't this all because of you? If I wasn't worried about you, why would I care about this? Chu Yunshang rolled her eyes, feeling that Chu Yunyao was really insensible. You should restrain your temper for the time being. If nothing unexpected happens, I will be able to successfully break through to the Star Realm in these days. After I break through to the Star Realm, we will find a way to deal with them. Hearing this, although Chu Yunyao was unwilling, she could only agree, all right. In fact, in her opinion, there was no need for Chu Yunshang to take action. She alone was enough. After all, Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was only at the 6th level of the Purple Realm at that time. Even if a few months had passed, how much could Bailey Hongzhuang's strength have improved? In the end, it was just that Chu Yunshang was too nervous. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had just returned to Penglai Palace when Ren Ziheng and some others rushed over. After seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were safe and sound, they could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Fortunately, you are all right. We were really worried to death before. Ren Zimei could not help but sigh. Since that incident, we have not seen any trace of you. If we did not receive the note you sent back, we would have thought. Since Shangguan Yingying's accident, they knew in their hearts that it was Chu Yunyao's doing. Unfortunately, they could not find any evidence and did not know what to do. Later, Di Baichen and Wen Ziren went out to look for Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. They could not help much and were extremely nervous. Until now, they did not know how Bailey Hongzhuang and the others escaped from Chu Yunyao's hands. Fortunately, there were no problems in the end. Fortunately, you came back safe and sound, so we can rest assured. Ren Ziheng smiled faintly. Recently, you have really been in the limelight. I really did not expect you to be so powerful. You even succeeded in breaking through the demon training tower. We were just lucky, that's all. Di Beichen smiled. Chu Jinfeng waved his hand. If you were to be humble and say that you were lucky in other matters, then that would be fine. However, I have personally experienced the demon training tower's test. That kind of abnormal degree is simply impossible for ordinary people to pass. The fact that you were able to pass proves that you are also abnormal. Hearing Chu Jinfeng's words, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but chuckle. Senior Chu, are you praising us? Or are they indirectly scolding us? Chu Jinfeng chuckled. Actually, this is also considered a compliment. Because this inheritance is truly sick, it means that you guys are very strong. Jinfeng is right. Ren Zimei nodded. This inheritance hasn't appeared for over 100 years. You guys actually managed to obtain it? It's really an eye-opener. However, after hearing Ren Zimei's words, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others did not pay attention to what she said. Hey. Xiren moved closer to Ren Zimei, his eyes full of ridicule. What did I just hear? What? Ren Zimei looked at Xiren suspiciously, her eyes filled with confusion. You just called Senior Chu Jinfeng? Did I hear wrongly? Chapter 38:45. Looking at Ren Zimei's appearance, everyone was even more certain that there was something going on between her and Chu Jinfeng. In the next moment, everyone's gaze fell on Chu Jinfeng. When Xiren even asked, Senior Chu, is there a situation? Compared to Ren Zimei's reserved shyness, Chu Jinfeng was much more generous. He raised his eyebrows proudly. Of course, your senior sister Ren is now mine. As soon as these words came out, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others all widened their eyes. Although they had already expected such a result, Chu Jinfeng's words were very bold and unrestrained. After hearing these words, Ren Zimei's face was so red that it almost dripped blood. She immediately pushed Chu Jinfeng and said, What nonsense are you talking about? How am I talking nonsense? Chu Jinfeng's expression became serious. Zimei, I have liked you for many years. Now that you have finally accepted my feelings, I can't wait for the whole world to know. Ren Zimei, who was originally extremely embarrassed, heard Chu Jinfeng's serious confession, and the affection between her eyebrows became even stronger. The corners of her lips gradually rose into a smile. She had always known about Chu Jinfeng's feelings for her, but as she became stronger and stronger, her courage to give her true feelings became smaller and smaller. It was precisely because of this that she had never accepted him. It was not until she met Bailey Hongzhuang and the others that she saw them supporting each other that she felt that it was very beautiful and she yearned for it. It turned out that there were still such sincere feelings. Not everyone only valued their own interests. She also hoped that she could find her other half who treated her with such sincerity. Especially after Shangguan Yingying's disappearance, when she saw the anger and heartache on Xiren's face, her emotions became even stronger. Under the influence of such emotions, she gradually decided to accept Chu Jinfeng. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Chu Jinfeng and Ren Zimei, whose eyes were full of affection, and the smile in her eyes deepened. To be able to see that these two lovers had finally gotten married, they were also sincerely happy. Senior brother Ren, did Chu Yunyao come to find trouble with you while we were away? Di Beichen's eyes darkened slightly as he asked. Ren Ziheng waved his hand. Although Chu Yunyao likes to stir up trouble, since your incident, Chu Yunshang seems to have restrained her a lot, so she didn't come to find trouble. In addition to the bounty issued by the Devil Training Pagoda, many cultivators want to take Chu Yunyao's head, so she doesn't dare to come out easily. During this period of time, she hasn't even left her house, and she doesn't even dare to go to the training grounds. At this point, Ren Ziheng couldn't help but admire Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Logically speaking, with Chu Yunyao's strength, it should be very easy to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang and others. However, the situation was completely opposite. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were just newcomers who had just come to Penglai Island for less than a year, but they forced Chu Yunyao to a situation where she didn't even dare to go out. This was really not an ordinary situation. How do you know that Chu Yunshang restrained her? Shangguan Yingying asked curiously. Chapter 38:46. So that's how it is. Shangguan Yingying immediately understood. I saw that Chu Yunyao's lawless appearance, so there is still someone who can control her. Speaking of which, we still don't quite understand why you were taken away by Chu Yunyao. Ren Zimei couldn't help but say, if it was to take Hongzhuang then I can understand, but to take you away for a Yunling fruit, I can't understand. Hearing this, Shangguan Yingying raised her eyebrows. Why is it understandable that she took Hongzhuang? Because Duan Huali likes Hong Zhuang, but any woman who is liked by Duan Huali, Chu Yunyao will always dislike her. You guessed right. Shengguan Yingying gave Ren Zimei a thumbs up. In fact, Chu Yunyao's original intention was to deal with Hong Zhuang, but that afternoon Hong Zhuang happened to be in seclusion, so I was the only one who went there. No wonder. Ren Zimei and Ren Ziheng looked at each other and immediately understood what was going on. Previously they felt that there was something fishy about this matter. Chu Yunyao was famous for causing trouble in Penglai Palace, but she only targeted women, and these women all had one thing in common, which was that they were all liked by Duan Huali. With Duan Huali's playboy personality, any female cultivator with a little bit of beauty would inevitably be disturbed. Ren Zimei had also experienced such a thing in the past, but Duan Huali was just teasing her, so the matter was not very serious. Looking at your expressions, it seems that you know a lot of stories. Why don't you tell us? It's very interesting to talk about this. A smile appeared in Chu Jinfeng's eyes. This is a very famous love triangle. Love triangle? Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were slightly stunned. They had never heard of such a situation. Not bad. At that time, Duan Huali actually took a fancy to Chu Yunyao because she was also very beautiful. Chu Yunyao also had a good impression of Duan Huali. The two of them fell in love at first sight. However, they had just met each other a few times and had a good impression of each other. They spoke a few words, but they didn't even know each other's names. After that, Duan Huali went to the training ground. Who would have thought that he would meet Chu Yunshang during the training? Duan Huali did not know that Chu Yunyao and Chu Yunshang were twin sisters. He only thought that Chu Yunshang was Chu Yunyao. When they were training together, he began to pursue her. After saving Chu Yunshang once, Chu Yunshang also had feelings for him. After Chu Yunshang left the place of experience, she told Chu Yunyao that she already had someone she liked. It happened that Chu Yunyao also said that she had a sweetheart. The two sisters were very happy and planned to invite their sweethearts out to meet each other. Who would have thought that when they met, the situation would be awkward? Duan Huali didn't expect to see two people who looked exactly the same. Suddenly he couldn't even tell who he liked. Chu Yunshang and Chu Yunyao were naturally dumbfounded. They didn't expect it to turn out like this and they were embarrassed. No? So interesting? When Ziren couldn't help but be speechless. This kind of thing was really hard to say. Speaking of which, it was impossible to say who was right and who was wrong. Chapter 38:47. It's so interesting. Ren Zimei nodded. Just thinking about it, you can imagine how awkward the situation was at that time. Bailey Hongzhuang was speechless after knowing all this. She never thought that Duan Huali and Chu Yunyao would fall in love at first sight. Recalling Chu Yunyao's appearance before, it was obvious that she had deep feelings for Duan Huali. It was a pity that her rival turned out to be her own sister. In this way, this matter was really difficult to solve. How was this matter resolved later? Shengguan Yingying asked curiously. Now Duan Huali doesn't seem to be with anyone. At that time, the three of them were speechless when they understood what was going on. Chu Yunyao thought that Chu Yunshang was a third party, and she was forcibly mixed in between her and Duan Huali. Chu Yunshang also had true feelings for Duan Huali. After all, the two had experienced life and death in the experiential learning place. Duan Huali even saved her. Before she knew this, she had always put all her heart on Duan Huali. As for Duan Huali, he was even more dumbfounded. He had always liked the two sisters as one person. Who would have thought that they would suddenly be divided into two people? He didn't know what to do. Duan Huali should like Chu Yunshang more. At this time, Di Beichen, who had been silent, suddenly spoke out his opinion. As soon as this remark came out, Ren Zimei couldn't help but look at Di Beichen in surprise. How do you know? Duan Huali fell in love with Chu Yunyao at first sight. This love at first sight was naturally based on appearance. Since Chu Yunshang and Chu Yunyao look exactly the same, what's the difference? On the contrary, Duan Huali and Chu Yunshang have been together for a while in the experiential learning place. This is a real feeling, so the weight in his heart must be Chu Yunshang. After listening to Di Beichen's analysis, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others nodded in agreement. You're right. At that time, Duan Huali gave this answer after thinking about it. After knowing this, Chu Yunshang was very happy. After all, women always liked heroes who saved their lives. Moreover, Duan Huali was not weak, and his appearance was also outstanding. In this inner hall, there were many women who liked him. However, Chu Yunyao doesn't have such a good temper. This Chu Yunyao shouldn't be trying to mess up Chu Yunshang and Duan Huali, right? Shangguan Yingying frowned and recalled Chu Yunyao's hysterical look when she talked about Duan Huali. She felt that Chu Yunyao was really likely to do such a thing. That's it. Chu Jinfeng sighed and nodded. To be honest, just based on this point, I am also very speechless about Chu Yunyao. In any case, Chu Yunshang was also her sister. She actually completely regarded her as a rival in love. After knowing that Duan Huali liked Chu Yunshang, Chu Yunyao couldn't accept this and directly made a fuss about it. It seemed that Chu Yunshang was the third party and robbed her sweetheart. In this regard, Chu Yunshang and Duan Huali were also very helpless. In the end, Chu Yunshang still looked at Chu Yunyao as her sister and reluctantly separated from Duan Huali. Although Duan Huali was unwilling, he couldn't help it because Chu Yunshang had made up her mind and Chu Yunyao was too crazy. Chapter 38-48. After listening to all this, Bailey Hongzhuang and others couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. They really didn't expect that there was such a past between Duan Huali and Chu Yunshang. It was really beyond their expectations. It seems that Duan Huali's current appearance has a lot to do with Chu Yunyao. When Xiren sighed, recalling the playboy attitude when they saw Duan Huali before, it was hard to imagine that he had such a serious past. In fact, anyone who meets a woman like Chu Yunyao is very sad. She knows that her sister and Duan Huali have a deep relationship, but because of her own selfishness she forcibly separated the two of them. Over the years, no matter who Duan Huali likes, Chu Yunyao will inevitably find trouble. If it was someone else, Duan Huali would have already taught them a lesson. The reason why he has been indulging Chu Yunyao is actually for Chu Yunshang's sake. You say, if you just fell in love with a woman and the woman died, what kind of feeling would you have? Now Duan Huali is just playing and there is no real feelings. Chu Jinfeng shrugged. Although he was not very optimistic about Duan Huali's usual style, he still sympathized with Duan Huali in this matter. It seems that Duan Huali still has feelings for Chu Yunshang. Shangguan Yingying said in surprise. Ren Zimei nodded. It should be like this, otherwise Duan Huali would not still indulge Chu Yunyao. When Chu Yunyao kidnapped me last time, what she said was a completely different version. She said that Duan Huali had deep feelings for her, but they were not together because of a freak combination of factors. I said that with Duan Huali's temper, if he really liked her, how could he be with someone else? Shangguan Yingying curled her lips. She was very disdainful of Chu Yunyao's style. At this moment, after knowing all this, she was even more unable to understand. Until now, Chu Yunyao has always regarded Chu Yunshang as a third party, thinking that she was the one who obstructed the feelings between her and Duan Huali. Speaking of which, I admire Chu Yunshang very much. Although they are sisters, they are actually the same age, but she has always been extremely tolerant of Chu Yunyao, which is completely opposite to Chu Yunyao's selfishness. At this time Renz couldn't help but say. Hearing the words Bailey Hongzhuang's, it seems that Chu Yunshang is still very good to her sister. For her sister she even gave up the man she liked. However, with such a sister, it will be difficult for her to live a peaceful life. That's why I said that Chu Yunyao is a weirdo. When I heard that you had a conflict with her, I already felt that it was very troublesome. Chu Jinfeng said. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a faint smile. There is nothing to worry about now. We don't have to be afraid of her. In just a few months, their strength has changed a lot from before. If they meet Chu Yunyao again, they don't have to worry. Because even if Chu Yunyao broke through during this period of time, she was only in the first order of star radiance. Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was the same as hers, so there was no need to be afraid. If she didn't break through, then Bailey Hongzhuang would completely beat her. Chapter 38-49. Bailey Hongzhuang's black phoenix eyes flashed with a bright light, and her beautiful face was covered with a layer of coldness. As early as when she left, she had already made up her mind that when she returned, she would definitely get back at Chu Yunyao for the humiliation they had suffered. For Shangguan Yingying and for herself. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Ren Zimei and the others couldn't help but be stunned. They didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to be so domineering. In their opinion, even if Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had obtained the inheritance of the Demon Training Tower, their cultivation would not be a match for Chu Yunyao. However, now that Bailey Hongzhuang had opened her mouth, she actually wanted to take the initiative to find trouble with Chu Yunyao. This was beyond their expectations. Hongzhuang, you have to think carefully. Once you go, it won't be just Chu Yunyao alone. Her sister Chu Yunshang and He Yunjun will also be there. Chu Yunyao is already at the 9th level of the Purple Realm, and Chu Yunshang and He Yunjun are even stronger than Chu Yunyao. Even if your strength has improved, I'm afraid you won't be a match for them. Ren Zime's face was filled with anxiety. Now that she finally saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others return safely, she didn't want anything to happen to them as soon as they came back. Hearing Ren Zime's words of concern, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly. After exchanging a look with Di Beichen and the others, she said with a smile, "Don't worry, we know what we're doing. Nothing will happen. Leave this matter to us. You guys just watch from the back." Di Beichen also said slowly. Ren Ziheng and the others wanted to persuade a little more, but seeing that Di Beichen also said such words, they must have thought about all this before coming back. Although they didn't know what happened after Chu Yunyao took Shangguan Yingying away, they knew that with Chu Yunyao's character she would not treat Shangguan Yingying well. They were afraid that Shangguan Yingying suffered a lot in her hands. Judging from the strong feelings between Bailey Hongzhuang and others, Shangguan Yingying had suffered such a big loss in Chu Yunyao's hands. They would definitely not let Chu Yunyao go easily. "Since you've already made your decision, we won't stop you," Ren Ziheng said. "Big brother?" Ren Zimei frowned as she looked at Ren Ziheng. She didn't think that Ren Ziheng would agree to let Bailey Hongzhuang and the others go. The danger was too great. Ren Ziheng pulled Ren Zimei back and shook his head. "Beichen and the others are not reckless people. Since they have decided to do this, they must have already made up their minds. Even if you try to persuade them, it will be useless." Zimei Ziheng is right. Chu Jinfeng couldn't help but say, "Have you forgotten the appearance of junior brother when junior sister Shangguan had an accident last time? Some things can be tolerated, but some things can't be tolerated." He also agreed with the approach of Bailey Hongzhuang and others. After all, Chu Yunyao's previous behavior was too much. If they didn't get back at her, no one would be able to stand it. What's more, he also believed that Bailey Hongzhuang and others should have a certain degree of confidence in doing so. The inheritance of the murderous aura should be very powerful. Even if they were not opponents, at least they could deal with them for a while. Chapter 3850. Bailey Hongzhuang and her party didn't even go back to their residence, but went directly to Chu Yunyao's residence. Now they were already in the limelight of Penglai Palace. When they first came to Penglai Palace, some cultivators didn't know enough about them. But now, as the effect of this healing medicine was completely spread, everyone's impression of Bailey Hongzhuang became very deep. After all, this kind of healing medicine had helped them a lot, so everyone admired Bailey Hongzhuang's medical skills very much and had a certain good impression of her. At this moment, after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and others coming back, almost everyone's eyes were attracted by them. Bailey Hongzhuang and others are back. Look at the man in black beside them. He must be the cultivator that Master Long and Mentor Yi went to recruit this time. It should be like this. This time Bailey Hongzhuang and others are really famous. The murderous aura is an extremely powerful inheritance. I have only heard of it, but I haven't seen it until now. I hope I have the opportunity to really see it. But Bailey Hongzhuang and others don't seem to be going to their residence now. Where are they going? Some cultivators suddenly found that the destination of Bailey Hongzhuang and her party was a little strange, and they suddenly spoke out in surprise. Among the crowd, there were many cultivators who knew the grievances between Bailey Hongzhuang and Chu Yunyao. They immediately said, "Maybe they are going to find Chu Yunyao. Didn't they have a conflict with Chu Yunyao before they left?" After such a reminder, everyone understood. They thought secretly in their hearts. They didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang and her party to be so aggressive to find trouble with Chu Yunyao. It was really beyond everyone's expectations. After all, if it was a normal day, this was usually done by Chu Yunyao. Bailey Hongzhuang and her party walked very quickly, and it didn't take long for them to arrive at Chu Yunyao's residence. Looking at the closed door, Bailey Hongzhuang said directly, "Chu Yunyao, get out here." As soon as these words came out, the surrounding cultivators all sucked in a breath of cold air, and their eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. No one had expected Bailey Hongzhuang to be so domineering the moment she opened her mouth. It was completely different from what they had imagined. She was simply here to clamor. Not only Bailey Hongzhuang, but Di Beichen and a few others were also standing beside Bailey Hongzhuang. Their gazes were cold as they stared at the tightly shut door. Their faces were similarly filled with arrogance and indifference. That condescending look was filled with provocation. Chu Yunyao was cultivating in her room. Chu Yunshang had told her to cultivate in peace and not to find trouble with Bailey Hongzhuang and others. Although she was a little unhappy, she could only wait. After all, she still had to listen to her sister's words. It was just that she didn't expect that while she was still cultivating, Bailey Hongzhuang and her party dared to take the initiative to come to her door. This sentence made her so angry that her veins stood out. The next moment Chu Yunyao stood up directly. Her face was full of anger, and her eyes seemed to be able to spit out flames at any time. This damn Bailey Hongzhuang, it's good that I let her go and didn't take the initiative to find trouble with her. She even dared to take the initiative to provoke me. She's courting death. Chu Yunyao cursed angrily. Chapter 38:51. I'm going out to teach her a lesson. Chu Yunyao's face was gloomy, and her eyes were full of coldness. The last time she ran away it was her luck. This time, I must make her regret appearing in front of me again. Looking at Chu Yunyao's angry appearance, Chu Yunshang couldn't help but take her hand and said in a deep voice, Yunyao, don't be too impulsive. It's not a matter of whether I'm impulsive or not. Now they have come to the door. Chu Yunyao's voice was mixed with anger, and her face became ferocious and ugly. It's because they have come to the door that we can't be impulsive. They must have something to rely on. If you go out directly, won't you fall into their trap? But if I don't go out, will I be a coward here and be insulted by them? Chu Yunyao was going crazy. During this time, because of the reward order, she had been trapped here and did not dare to go out. She was afraid that she would be attacked inexplicably. It was because of such a move that she was almost crowned by everyone as a coward. She also knew that she had offended a lot of people on weekdays, so once this kind of thing happened, there would be more people who would laugh at her, which was the most unbearable thing for her. However, now Bailey Hongzhuang took the initiative to provoke her. If she didn't go out, she would really have no face to see people in the future. Chu Yunshang's face was also very ugly. She didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang and others would take the initiative to provoke her, which was completely beyond her expectations. For a while she actually didn't know what to do. You should know that this time, Master Long and Mentor Yi specially went to recruit Bailey Hongzhuang's friends. Now the recruitment is successful. I think Master Long and Mentor Yi also remember Bailey Hongzhuang's kindness. Maybe now Bailey Hongzhuang is relying on Master Long and Mentor Yi to come and clamor. In this case we will always be at a disadvantage if we go out. Chu Yunshang's eyes were full of thinking. In her view, Bailey Hongzhuang and others had such courage. After all, there was a certain reason. If they didn't figure out the reason and went out rashly, they would definitely suffer. I don't believe that Master Long and Mentor Yi can protect them so blatantly, Chu Yunyao said with dissatisfaction. You're wrong. Chu Yunshang shook her head. Don't you remember what happened in the outer hall? Master Long is obviously on their side. Since we are staying in Penglai Palace, we can't be enemies with Master Long. There is absolutely no benefit for us. What should we do now? Chu Yunyao's brows were tightly knitted together, and her face was extremely dark. She had been in Penglai Palace for such a long time, and she had never been so aggrieved. Let's deal with all changes by sticking to the status quo. Let's see how things go first, Chu Yunshang said thoughtfully. When Bailey Hongzhuang saw that Chu Yunyao did not come out, the corners of her mouth could not help but slowly curl up into a playful smile. Her red lips opened slightly, and the clamor rang out again. Chu Yunyao, you coward, don't tell me you don't dare to come out? Shengguan Yingying and the others chuckled when they heard that. Haha, I didn't expect Chu Yunyao to become so timid after not seeing her for a while. Chapter 38:52. What should we do? Why don't we just let him go? Shengguan Yingying chuckled, her words full of sarcasm and contempt. She clearly remembered how Chu Yunyao treated her at the beginning. Now she finally had a chance to retaliate against Chu Yunyao. Naturally she would not be polite. The onlookers saw that after Bailey Hongzhuang and others said such harsh words, Chu Yunyao still stayed in the room without any movement. Their faces were also filled with surprise. Chu Yunyao hasn't come out yet. It's really not in line with her usual style. She shouldn't really be afraid of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, right? Now that Bailey Hongzhuang's people have obtained the inheritance of the Devil Training Pagoda, their strength is not what it used to be. This time Chu Yunyao's face is lost, but she deserves it. With her usual style, there are many people who hate her. Now seeing her in such a situation, I only feel very happy. Damn it. Chu Yunyao stomped her feet angrily, her face was ferocious to the extreme, and the burning anger in her eyes almost burned her out. No. I can't stand to let them continue to ridicule and insult me like this. Chu Yunshang saw Chu Yunyao. I have been in Penglai Palace for so long, and I have never suffered such humiliation. Even if Lord Long and others are outside, I can't continue to endure like this. Otherwise, how can I face people in the future? I must teach them a good lesson today and let them die in my hands. Chu Yunyao's hands clenched into fists, and her chest was full of anger. She regretted that she didn't kill Shangguan Yingying and Bailey Hongzhuang directly at the beginning, so as to cause the current trouble. Yunyao, Xu Yunshang was a little helpless. She didn't expect things to get to this point. Bailey Hongzhuang and others were just newcomers. They were so arrogant, which was completely different from the style of ordinary cultivators. However, Chu Yunyao ignored Chu Yunshang's words and rushed out of the house. Just when Bailey Hongzhuang and others thought that Chu Yunyao would not come out today anyway, the closed door suddenly opened, and then Chu Yunyao's figure appeared in their sight. Bailey Hongzhuang, are you looking for death? As soon as she came out, Chu Yunyao's eyes locked on Bailey Hongzhuang and roared loudly. In the face of Chu Yunyao's roar, Bailey Hongzhuang did not mind. The smile on her lips was still brilliant, and her bright face was beautiful, unparalleled. Chu Yunyao, you finally came out. I thought you were going to stay in the house and didn't dare to come out to meet people. Don't do this. Why don't I dare to come out? Yours, Lord Long's you, as you don't want to protect lords? If you want to rely on Master Long and the others to protect you, you better be careful. If Master Long and the others aren't by your side, your little life can be lost at any time. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. Do you think everyone is like you? You only know how to bully others? Open your dog eyes and look carefully. There are only a few of us here. Don't get Lord Long involved. Shangguan Yingying said. Chapter 38:53. Chu Yunyao looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and others in front of her and secretly cursed in her heart. Are these people out of their minds? Since Master Long and Mentor Yi are not here, they dare to come to her for trouble. This is tantamount to courting death. Is it possible that Master Long and others are in other places, and Bailey Hongzhuang and others want to force her to do it first? Chu Yunyao was secretly puzzled. For a while she didn't dare to do anything. She always felt that the situation in front of her was a little strange. Maybe Bailey Hongzhuang and others had set up a trap and waited for her to jump in. After Chu Yunyao came out, Chu Yunshang also came out. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes fell on Chu Yunshang. After a careful look, she found that the appearance of the two sisters was really similar. If she didn't speak, she really couldn't tell whether it was Chu Yunyao or Chu Yunshang. Originally, she was very disgusted with the two sisters, but when she learned about the past of Chu Yunshang from Ren Ziheng and others, her impression of Chu Yunshang was much better. Not to mention Chu Yunshang's character, at least she was full of affection for her sister, which was undoubtedly much better than Chu Yunyao. Chu Yunyao, you should have seen clearly now that Master Long and others are not here at all. Bailey Hongzhuang said coldly. Chu Yunyao frowned and subconsciously looked at Chu Yunshang. Although she did not see Master Long, she always felt that since Bailey Hongzhuang and others were here, things would not be so simple. Bailey Hongzhuang, what do you want to do? Chu Yunshang's eyes were cold. She thought that after a while she would find a way to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang and others. She didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang and others would be so fast. As soon as they returned to Penglai Palace, they had already come to trouble them, which was really beyond her expectations. What do I want to do? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows, but the curve of her lips was a little colder. It's very simple. If there is a grudge, an eye for an eye. Chu Yunyao, Chu Yunshang, last time you two sisters joined forces to kidnap Yingying. If we hadn't successfully rescued Yingying, she would have died in your hands now. This time we will make you pay the price. Xiren's eyes were burning with anger. Even though this matter had passed for several months, Shangguan Yingying's injury had been imprinted in his heart. Even now, he could not forget how pale and weak Shangguan Yingying looked when he first saw her. Since young, Shangguan Yingying had always lived a life of luxury and had never suffered any hardships. He was determined to protect Shangguan Yingying. But this time he did not expect Shangguan Yingying to suffer such humiliation. If he did not take revenge, he would not be able to vent his anger. With Xiren's voice falling, the crowd was in an uproar, and the eyes looking at Chu Yunyao and Chu Yunyao suddenly changed a little. I didn't expect that Chu Yunshang and Chu Yunyao really took Shangguan Ying away. No wonder Bailey Hongzhuang and others came back to clamor. Bailey Hongzhuang and others are also very powerful. At that time, they were able to save Shangguan Yingying from their hands. This is very amazing. Chapter 38:54. As the conflict between Bailey Hongzhuang and the others gradually escalated, the cultivators of Penglai Palace also rushed over. There were not many situations where such a big commotion was caused in the inner hall. Moreover, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were currently in the limelight. Everyone wanted to know how much progress they had made after obtaining the inheritance of the demon training pagoda. They did not expect that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others would give them a chance to observe as soon as they returned. Naturally, no one was willing to miss it. You want me to pay the price with just you? Chu Yunyao sneered, her eyes filled with disdain and ridicule. You don't even know how much you are worth. You should be thanking the heavens if I don't go looking for trouble with you. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang also sneered. Every dog has its day. We were indeed no match for you last time, but that doesn't mean that we're still no match for you now. Bailey Hongzhuang, I know that you have obtained the inheritance of the demon training pagoda and your strength has improved. However, if it is just because of this that your morale has greatly increased, it would be a bit too laughable. Chu Yunyao looked coldly at Bailey Hongzhuang as the corners of her lips curled into a sneer. Do you think that the gap in strength is so easy to cross? So what if your cultivation is about the same as mine? You are no match for me. Chu Yunyao, I find that your ability to deceive yourself is very good. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows slightly. Under the sunlight, her beautiful face was extremely beautiful. Back then, your cultivation was 3 levels higher than mine and I was able to contend with you. Now that my strength has greatly improved, you still want to be my opponent? Don't you know if you are worthy? I'm here today to take your life. At this point, Bailey Hongzhuang's voice suddenly surged with a strong killing intent. This kind of killing intent came from all directions, bringing with it a dense chill that made people shudder. When everyone felt the killing intent emitted by Bailey Hongzhuang, they couldn't help but shiver. They all looked at her in astonishment. They never thought that the killing intent she emitted would be so terrifying. Under this murderous aura, everyone felt their minds being affected. They couldn't help but think of the things they were most afraid of. Chu Yunyao felt the murderous aura released by Bailey Hongzhuang the most. She immediately looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with horror. This kind of murderous aura was the most she had ever felt in her entire life. A chill seemed to rise from the soles of her feet. She was enveloped in the murderous aura. It was as if she saw a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. It was extremely terrifying. Chu Yunyao couldn't help trembling. She stared at Bailey Hongzhuang in a daze and tried to restrain her body, not wanting to show such a timid look. Unfortunately, she had never faced such a murderous aura before and had no resistance to it. Even if she tried her best to control it, she was still affected by it. Murderous aura. This is the unique murderous aura of the Demon Refining Tower. Among the cultivators present, there was no lack of people who could recognize this murderous aura. The Demon Refining Tower had always been most famous for this murderous aura. As long as they fought in the arena, after winning the battle, the murderous aura in their bodies would increase. As the murderous aura gradually thickened, it became a fighting method for the cultivators of the Demon Refining Tower. Chapter 3855. After Chu Yunxiang noticed this scene, her face suddenly changed. Even with her cultivation base, she felt a sense of horror in the murderous aura of Bailey Hongzhuang. It was just that the killing intent could affect a person's heart. This kind of power was truly terrifying. This was also the first time Shengguan Yingying and the others had seen Bailey Hongzhuang release such a terrifying killing intent. They couldn't help but be shocked. I never thought that the killing intent released by junior sister Bailey would be so powerful. It's truly amazing. Ren Ziheng couldn't help but sigh. Because you guys have stayed in the Demon Refining Tower for so long, the killing intent released must be so terrifying. Hearing this, Wen Ziren shook his head and said, although fighting in the demonic tower can increase one's murderous aura, the murderous aura is not as strong as this. I believe that the murderous aura that Hongzhuang is releasing is related to the inheritance of the demonic tower. Previously, he had also seen Bailey Hongzhuang's battle in the arena, and it was obvious that he was unable to reach such a level. In this way, other than the explanation of the inheritance obtained from the Demon Refining Tower, there was no other possibility. So that's how it is. Chu Jinfeng immediately understood. Although Hongzhuang only casually released a trace of killing intent, this killing intent is truly terrifying. It seems that the inheritance of the Demon Refining Tower is truly worthy of its reputation. I really want to see what it looks like. Shengguan Yingying smiled slightly. If you're lucky, you might be able to see it later. Chu Yunyao was in a state of shock for a short period of time, and couldn't help but be affected by Bailey Hongzhuang's killing intent. She was confused for a moment, but she quickly reacted, and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with eyes full of anger. Bailey Hongzhuang, stop pretending to be mysterious. If you really want to fight, then I'll accompany you to the end. Last time you were lucky to have escaped. This time you actually took the initiative to deliver yourself to me. I will definitely not let you have the chance to go back. Chu Yunyao's eyes were as sharp as a knife. She looked at Bailey Hongzhuang as if she wanted to tear her into pieces. She would never allow Duan Huali to fall in love with another woman, so Bailey Hongzhuang had to die. This time it's not you who wants me dead, it's me who wants you dead. Bailey Hongzhuang said coldly. Di Baichen and Mo Yunjue quietly stood beside Bailey Hongzhuang. They were very clear that Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was no longer the same as before. To deal with Chu Yunyao, Bailey Hongzhuang only needed Bailey Hongzhuang to take action herself. Last time Chu Yunyao had kidnapped Shengguan Yingying. Bailey Hongzhuang had always felt very guilty. She only wanted to personally avenge Shengguan Yingying. In this regard, they naturally had to fulfill Bailey Hongzhuang's wish. Therefore they had already decided that as long as Bailey Hongzhuang could solve it, they would not interfere, unless Chu Yunyao found help. What arrogance! Chu Yunyao chuckled. Don't think that you are so great just because you have obtained an inheritance. Don't regret your actions when you reach the netherworld. You think too much. Bailey Hongzhuang said lightly. Shengguan Yingying looked at the very proud Chu Yunyao. The situation at that time also appeared in her mind. Chu Yunyao, you are so selfish. It is also a good thing that you die. In this way Duan Huali does not have to live in your shadow. Serves you right that Duan Huali liked your sister back then. If it were anyone else they wouldn't like you. Chapter 38:56. But as Shengguan Yingying's voice fell, Chu Yunyao's face suddenly turned ugly to the extreme. She looked at Shengguan Yingying with her teeth bared and her eyes bloodshot. She shouted angrily, "What nonsense are you talking about?" Chu Yunshang obviously did not expect that Shengguan Yingying would also dig up the past. To be honest, it was also an unforgettable past for her. Now she only hoped that this matter could gradually fade away. It was a pity that Chu Yunyao had been deeply involved in it and could not extricate herself from the beginning to the end. She also felt extremely helpless. Now that Shengguan Yingying said this in front of everyone, she couldn't help but feel as awkward as before. How am I talking nonsense? Shengguan Yingying curled her lips and said righteously, not to mention me, even if it's anyone present, they will think that this matter is completely because of your own selfishness that you broke up your sister and Duan Huali. I didn't expect that you still don't repent after so long. Instead, you think that your sister is the third party. It's really hopeless. I knew him first. It's me. It's me. Chu Yunyao emphasized. However, Shengguan Yingying didn't care. Do you think love is buying things? What's first come, first served. If I were you, I would have left obediently. But you have to come between your sister and Duan Huali and disturb this relationship. Why not first come, first served? If it weren't for her interference, I would have been with Duan Huali long ago. How could it become like this now? Chu Yunyao's face was gloomy, and her eyes were full of killing intent when she looked at Shengguan Yingying. Obviously, Shengguan Yingying's words had deeply stimulated her, which made her unable to accept it at all. You're really stubborn. It's really bad luck for your sister to have a sister like you. Shengguan Yingying was completely helpless. When she was taken away last time, she already knew how persistent Chu Yunyao was about this matter. However, after knowing the grievances, she felt that the problem was all because of Chu Yunyao. Everyone wanted to see the lovers get married in the end. However, Chu Yunyao liked to break up Mandarin ducks. She felt very unhappy when she saw it. Although Duan Huali and Chu Yunshang were not good people, she still sympathized with them on this point. Unfortunately, with Chu Yunyao between them, they would never be together in this life. At this moment, the cultivators present naturally recalled the sensational love triangle back then. Until now, there were still people talking about it enthusiastically. It was only after seeing Chu Yunyao's attitude towards this matter that everyone was shocked to realize that Chu Yunyao had not given up after such a long time. I finally understand why Chu Yunyao is looking for trouble with Bailey Hongzhuang. It must be that Duan Huali has taken a fancy to Bailey Hongzhuang this time, so things have become like this. Well, from the looks of it, Bailey Hongzhuang is quite unlucky. Fortunately, Bailey Hongzhuang's strength is good. Otherwise, I'm afraid she would have died silently in the hands of Chu Yunyao. Everyone shook their heads and sighed. Chu Yunyao's persistence in this matter also made them feel terrible. Feeling the strange eyes of the crowd, Chu Yunyao also frowned, and her eyes burned with anger. Shengguan Yingying, if you talk nonsense again, I will kill you. Chapter 3857. The elemental energy in Chu Yunyao's body burst out, and the aura of the 9th level of the Purple Realm was fully revealed. Her speed was very fast, and the moment she finished speaking she attacked directly. When Shangguan Yingying saw Chu Yunyao suddenly attacking her, a trace of panic flashed in her eyes. However, just as Chu Yunyao was about to attack Shangguan Yingying, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly blocked her. "Your opponent now is me," Bailey Hongzhuang said lightly. Chu Yunyao was already very unhappy when she didn't succeed in one blow. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang in front of her, she was also angry. "Since you like to find trouble, then I will fulfill your wish." As soon as her voice fell, Chu Yunyao released the pressure of the 9th level of the Purple Realm, and without hesitation crushed Bailey Hongzhuang. After everyone felt Chu Yunyao's strength, they couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. They heard that Chu Yunyao's character was very annoying, but they had to admit that her strength was also very outstanding in this inner hall. The strength of the 9th level of the Purple Realm was not easy to reach. Everyone had to be a little wary of cultivators with such cultivation. In contrast, Bailey Hongzhuang was so young and had just joined the Penglai Palace. Even with the existence of the inheritance of the Demon Training Tower, everyone still thought that the possibility of Bailey Hongzhuang winning was very small. The newborn calf was not afraid of the tiger. Perhaps this was the case. She was young and impulsive after all. She couldn't bear some humiliation. As soon as she came back, she directly came to take revenge. In their opinion, with Bailey Hongzhuang's potential, as long as they waited for a while, she would be able to defeat Chu Yunyao sooner or later. Seeing Chu Yunyao directly releasing her pressure as soon as she made a move, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but sneer. "It's the same old trick again, but it's no longer useful to me." In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand, and the pressure released by Chu Yunyao directly dissipated into nothingness. Seeing this scene, everyone present was stunned. They stared blankly at Bailey Hongzhuang, their faces filled with disbelief. Chu Yunyao was also dumbfounded. She couldn't react for a while. Obviously, she couldn't believe that the pressure she released was so easily resolved by Bailey Hongzhuang. That was the aura of a 9th level Purple Realm cultivator. When she had released this aura a few months ago, even Bailey Hongzhuang had a hard time resisting it. Even though Bailey Hongzhuang's strength had increased, it was still impossible for her to completely ignore it. "I never thought that I would underestimate you." Chu Yunyao's face was gloomy, and her voice was a bit heavy. She was secretly wondering what realm Bailey Hongzhuang had reached now. In fact, although she had been stubborn before, she knew in her heart that Bailey Hongzhuang's potential was indeed very shocking. At that time, her cultivation was 3 levels lower than hers, but she was able to rely on the inheritance of the blood chi field to contend against her. If it weren't for her cultivation being strong enough, she really wouldn't have the confidence to defeat Bailey Hongzhuang. Could it be that the inheritance of the Demon Refining Pagoda had allowed Bailey Hongzhuang's cultivation to increase again? If that was the case, then she really had to be careful. However, when Chu Yunyao turned her head and saw Chu Yunshang behind her, her heart immediately calmed down. After all, she wasn't alone. "You didn't underestimate me, you overestimated yourself." Chapter 3858. Now I'll let you see what real pressure looks like. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Chu Yunyao couldn't react for a while. She didn't understand the meaning of these words, but soon Bailey Hongzhuang had already used actions to make her understand. Because Bailey Hongzhuang directly released her pressure. A powerful pressure suddenly erupted, directly enveloping Chu Yunyao in front of her. Chu Yunyao didn't care at first, but after Bailey Hongzhuang's pressure was released, she only felt her whole body sink, as if there was an invisible mountain pressing on her body, making it difficult for her to move. Chu Yunyao raised her eyes in shock and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in front of her in disbelief. Her whole person seemed to have been hit hard, and she said in a daze, "Star Realm?" The surrounding cultivators were also affected by this pressure and immediately retreated. This feeling of being pressured by Mount Tai was not a comfortable one. How is it possible? It's only been a few months. How can you break through to the Star Realm? Chu Yunyao kept questioning. Bailey Hongzhuang's breakthrough in strength really hit her too hard. She never expected that Bailey Hongzhuang could break through to the Star Realm. Star Realm was completely different from the 9th level of the Purple Realm. Although it was only a slight difference, the pressure released by Bailey Hongzhuang at this moment suppressed her deeply, making it difficult for her to move. Chu Yunshang also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in shock. For a moment she didn't know what to say. During this period of time she had been trying to break through from the 9th level of the Purple Realm to the Star Realm. Unfortunately, the bottleneck of the star realm was too difficult to break through. If there was no certain opportunity, it would be impossible to succeed. She had worked very hard, but there was still a slight difference. She wanted to take advantage of this period of time to successfully break through and then deal with Bailey Hongzhuang and others. She didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang and others had broken through earlier than her. How could this not surprise her? It was not an easy thing to break through to the Starry Sky Realm. Bailey Hongzhuang was only at the 6th level of the Purple Forbidden Realm before, but in a few months she was promoted to the Starry Sky Realm. This speed of promotion was too shocking. You can't break through, but it doesn't mean that I can't break through. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Chu Yunyao jokingly. Before I left last time I said that when I came back I would get it back from you with interest. Now it's time for me to get it back. It was not until this moment that a feeling of fear rose in Chu Yunyao's heart. She couldn't deal with the cultivators of the Star Realm. Not only her, even if Chu Yunshang and she joined forces, they would not be Bailey Hongzhuang's opponent. Ren Ziheng and others were also dumbfounded at this moment. They only felt that the image of Bailey Hongzhuang in front of them was so tall. Oh my god. Chu Jinfeng sighed. Junior sister Bailey is too abnormal. When I first met her, her cultivation was so much weaker than mine. How could it be that in just a few months she has surpassed me by so much? For everyone, the Star Realm has always been a gap that is difficult to cross. I didn't expect junior sister Bailey to cross it so easily. It's really amazing. Chapter 38:59. After Bailey Hongzhuang displayed the strength of the Starlight Realm, she was in the limelight for a while. Although there were many experts in the Penglai Inner Palace, there were very few cultivators who could break through to the Starlight Realm. This was because there was an insurmountable gap between the 9th level of the Purple Realm and the Starlight Realm. Once crossed, the strength would no longer be the same as before. However, the vast majority of cultivators would stop at the 9th level of the Purple Realm. Needless to say, everyone clearly knew that the reason why Bailey Hongzhuang's cultivation could increase so quickly was definitely related to the Demon Training Tower. At this moment, everyone also understood why the inheritance of the Demon Training Tower could make everyone scramble for it. It was because it could allow people to directly break through the bottleneck that they could not break through normally. Thinking of this, everyone's gaze could not help but fall on Di Beichen and Mo Yunjue. Since Bailey Hongzhuang could break through to the Starlight Realm, did that mean that Di Beichen and Mo Yunjue had also become Shimanqing's cultivators? If that was the case, then the strength of their team was a bit too terrifying. Bailey Hongzhuang completely ignored Chu Yunyao and went forward to slap Chu Yunyao's face. Suddenly being humiliated like this, Chu Yunyao raised her head in anger. Her heart was burning with rage as if she wanted to swallow Bailey Hongzhuang alive. However, facing Chu Yunyao's gaze, Bailey Hongzhuang was unmoved. I'm returning this slap to you on behalf of Yingying. Chu Yunyao was slightly stunned. She immediately remembered that when she kidnapped Shengguan Yingying, she had indeed slapped Shengguan Yingying many times. As soon as he finished speaking, a loud slap rang out again. Pa! Bailey Hongzhuang's slap was very heavy. With just one slap, Chu Yunyao's face was swollen. I said that I would take it back with interest. The corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips slowly curled into a faint smile. Her originally pure and charming face was even more outstanding and charming, but it only added a hint of devilish charm. How many slaps did you give Yingying back then? I'll make you pay back double. Pa! Pa pa pa! Bailey Hongzhuang's hands were as fast as lightning. In a short time she had already slapped Chu Yunyao's face dozens of times. When everyone saw Chu Yunyao's face again, her face was no longer the same as before. It was completely swollen like a pig's head, making it impossible to distinguish. Bailey Hongzhuang, you've gone too far. Chu Yunyao shouted, but because Bailey Hongzhuang beat her into a pig head, her words were a little vague at the moment and finally her teeth were loose. She was about to go crazy. Under the watchful eyes of so many people, she could only be humiliated by Paris Hongzhuang. No matter how hard she tried to break free from Bailey Hongzhuang's grip, the latter's hands were as hard as a rock and she could not move at all. This feeling simply made her collapse. I'm going too far? Compared with you, I'm nothing. Bailey Hongzhuang sneered. After seeing this scene, Chu Yunyao couldn't help but rush over. Her face became very ugly, but she also knew that she was not Bailey Hongzhuang's opponent. She could only say, Bailey Hongzhuang, Yunyao has become like this now. You have already vented your anger. Why don't you let it go? Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes fell on Chu Yunshang. Let it go. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. Chapter 3860. Listening to Chu Yunshang's words, Bailey Hongzhuang sneered in her heart. Every time Chu Yunyao appeared, she clamored to take their lives. Now it was just a few dozen slaps and she said that she had been taught a lesson? If she wanted to teach Chu Yunyao a lesson, it would not be so simple. I'm just helping Yingying get back the interest now. It's up to my Yingying whether to let it go or not. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled slightly, and her eyes turned to Shangguan Yingying behind her. Shangguan Yingying was insulted and tortured by Chu Yunyao because of her, so she came here this time to let Shangguan Yingying vent her anger. With Bailey Hongzhuang's voice falling, everyone's eyes couldn't help but fall on Shangguan Yingying. Everyone clearly remembered that last time Bailey Hongzhuang and her party came to Chu Yunyao to make trouble, in order to find Shangguan Yingying. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang and others came here as soon as they came back. There was no doubt that it was also for Shangguan Yingying. It could be seen that Shangguan Yingying's weight in their team was not light. Shangguan Yingying looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in front of her, and there was a touched smile in the corner of her eyes. She knew that Hongzhuang did this to help her get back her face and to make her happy. She really hated Chu Yunyao to the extreme, but now after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and others doing this for her, she was also very moved in her heart, and her original anger dissipated a lot. After all, although Chu Yunyao's last practice hurt her, after that incident she had grown a lot. She was no longer as naive as before and gradually became mature. However, she still wouldn't let Chu Yunyao go. This woman was really hateful. She not only wanted to hurt her, but also wanted Hongzhuang's life. If she was kept alive, it would definitely cause trouble. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang like this, Chu Yunshang felt helpless, but she also knew that if Shangguan Yingying didn't let go of Chu Yunyao, then Bailey Hongzhuang would never stop. Thinking of this, Chu Yunshang's eyes also turned to Shangguan Yingying. Sister Shangguan, Chu Yunyao has been taught a lesson. I wonder if you can let her go? Chu Yunshang was also very helpless. With her status in the Penglai Palace, she did not expect that she would have to plead with a junior sister who had just entered the Penglai Inner Palace. This feeling was really difficult to describe. Sister, why are you begging her for mercy? Chu Yunyao's face was full of resentment. Even though she had been tightly clamped in the hands of Bailey Hongzhuang, she was still restless. Yunyao. Chu Yunshang frowned. Shangguan Yingying chuckled and said, Chu Yunshang, you are pleading for Chu Yunyao like this, but she doesn't seem to appreciate your kindness. Shangguan Yingying, don't be arrogant there. It's just a fox pretending to be a tiger. A guy like you wants me to beg for mercy. It's a fool's dream. I really regret that I didn't kill you directly at that time, and let you have the chance to jump here. As soon as these words came out, Shangguan Yingying's eyes also showed a touch of coldness. In that case, we don't have to be polite. Hongzhuang. Shangguan Yingying winked at Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly, the corners of her mouth raised and said, I know what to do. Bailey Hongzhuang, what do you want? Chu Yunyao looked at Bailey Hongzhuang coldly. She didn't believe that Bailey Hongzhuang would dare to kill her in front of everyone. Chapter 3861. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows and said with a chuckle, You should be able to guess what I'm thinking. You. If you kill me, there will definitely be trouble. Chu Yunyao said coldly. Listening to Chu Yunyao's words, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but sneer. This Chu Yunyao really didn't know that she was about to die. I'll be in trouble? Just based on the current you, do you have the qualifications to get me into trouble? My sister and He Yunjun will not let you go. Chu Yunyao's face was without fear, as if she was certain that Bailey Hongzhuang did not dare to attack her at all. Don't think that you are amazing just because you have reached the Star Realm. He Yunjun is also a cultivator of the Star Realm, and my sister will soon break through to the Star Realm. If you dare to attack me now, it won't be long before they will take your life. Yunyao. What nonsense are you talking about? Chu Yunshang's face was also very ugly. She knew that Chu Yunyao had always been unwilling to admit defeat, especially in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. She was even more unwilling to lower her posture. However, the current situation was completely that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had the upper hand. Chu Yunyao's words now were just to provoke Bailey Hongzhuang. It was completely suicidal. She had already warned Chu Yunyao just now, but Chu Yunyao didn't seem to understand what she said and didn't understand the meaning of her warning at all. He Yunjun had indeed broken through to the Star Realm, but Bailey Hongzhuang, who had reached the Star Realm, was definitely not to be underestimated, because she was the inheritor of the Blood Refining Tower and the Demon Refining Tower. Moreover, Di Baichen and the others were not to be trifled with. Although she was not far from the star realm, she had not broken through yet, and there was always a big gap. The most important thing was that He Yunjun was not here at all. For them, the most important thing now was to stall for time, hoping that He Yunjun could rush over after knowing what was going on here. Otherwise, if Bailey Hongzhuang really wanted to take Chu Yunyao's life, she would not be able to stop it. Bailey Hongzhuang sneered. Her lips curled into a mocking smile. Are you threatening me? So what if I threaten you? Chu Yunyao looked at Bailey Hongzhuang coldly. Her hateful eyes could not wait to tear Bailey Hongzhuang into pieces. She didn't want to admit that she wasn't as beautiful as Bailey Hongzhuang. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang's cultivation had surpassed hers, she couldn't compare to Bailey Hongzhuang in every aspect. Her hatred for Bailey Hongzhuang had reached its peak. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, she had been taught a lesson without being able to fight back. Her face had been beaten to such a state. In addition, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had told her the past that she was most unwilling to talk about. She was about to go crazy from anger. You really have guts. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged. However, I have never liked to be threatened. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang's hand directly grabbed Chu Yunyao's neck. You actually said that I didn't dare to do it? Then I will do it for you. Her 5 fingers gradually exerted force. Bailey Hongzhuang directly lifted Chu Yunyao up with one hand. The murderous intent in her eyes continued to rise. She had never intended to let Chu Yunyao go. What she had done before was just to help Shangguan Yingying vent her anger. After all, if Chu Yunyao died so easily, it would be too easy for her. Chapter 3862. Chu Yunyao only felt a sense of suffocation gradually coming. She couldn't breathe. Her face was swollen and purple. Her hands were constantly struggling to get out of Bailey Hongzhuang's control. However, under the suppression of the other party's breath, it was very difficult for her to move. She didn't believe that Bailey Hongzhuang dared to kill her like this, but when she felt that Bailey Hongzhuang still had no intention of letting go, she was really scared at this moment. Her hands tightly grasped Bailey Hongzhuang's hand on her neck, just wanting Bailey Hongzhuang to let go and give her a chance to breathe. It was a pity that Bailey Hongzhuang was obviously trying to kill her. No matter how she struggled, Bailey Hongzhuang's hand did not loosen even a little bit. Let me go. Chu Yunyao shouted with all her strength, but in this case, her voice was as small as a fly's. After seeing this scene, Chu Yunshang's face quickly climbed with panic. She didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to be so powerful. She directly wanted to take Chu Yunyao's life. After all, Chu Yunyao shouldn't have stimulated her just now. Otherwise things wouldn't have become like this. Bailey Hongzhuang, let her go. Chu Yunshang shouted. However, Bailey Hongzhuang just glanced at Chu Yunshang lightly, but ignored her at all. After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's ruthless action, the people around couldn't help but change their expressions. Chu Yunyao really fell this time. Just now, she thought that Bailey Hongzhuang didn't dare to really do anything to her. Now she directly gave her a loud slap. It's not Chu Yunyao's own fault. The situation has become like this just now. She even dared to provoke Bailey Hongzhuang. If she doesn't die, who will? If Chu Yunyao really dies this time, it's not bad. Anyway, I don't like her very much. The cultivators shook their heads and sighed, their eyes full of indifference. They really didn't have a good impression of Chu Yunyao and the others, so naturally they wouldn't be sad about her death. On the contrary, for Chu Yunyao, who always took advantage of others' power, death was a lot easier for them. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang ignored her words and Chu Yunyao was about to die, Chu Yunshang did not dare to delay and immediately attacked Bailey Hongzhuang. However, just as Chu Yunshang made her move, a burst of qi came and blocked her attack. Bang! Chu Yunshang fell heavily to the ground, her face pale, looking at the cultivator who attacked her in shock. He saw Di Beichen standing beside Bailey Hongzhuang. Just now, he had casually waved his hand and blocked Chu Yunshang's attack. Chu Yunshang's eyes were full of resentment, but when she thought of her own strength, the other party could still repel her with one palm. This strength was stronger than Bailey Hongzhuang. How is it possible? Chu Yunshang was a little unbelievable. Although she didn't enter the Starlight Realm, He Yunjun was a cultivator of the Starlight Realm, so she also had a certain understanding of the strength of the Starlight Realm. Even when she was an opponent of He Yunjun couldn't cause such a strong injury to her. Could it be that He Yunjun was merciful to her? Chapter 3863. My God. Chu Jinfeng sighed as he looked at Di Beichen. Junior brother D has also broken through to the Star Radiance realm. How enviable. The Star Radiance realm was a realm that he had always wanted to reach. However, it was so difficult to break through to the next level. He was still far away from the Star Radiance realm. Originally, he thought that D. Bachin and the others were newcomers and should be slower than him. He didn't expect that in just a few months, they would directly cross this gap. It was simply enviable. Junior brother D's move just now was too cool. Rin Zimei clasped her hands together, and her eyes were full of worship. This time, Chu Yunxiang and her sister are completely out of the game. They deserve this result. Compared to Rin Zimei and Chu Jinfeng's excitement, Rin Ziheng's eyes flashed with a trace of contemplation. Seeing Rin Ziheng like this, Rin Zimei couldn't help but ask, "Big brother, at such a time, why do you have such a thoughtful expression? This matter may not be resolved so easily. Don't forget that there is still He Yunjun. Even if He Yunjun comes, he has just broken through to the Star Radiance realm. Junior sister Bailey and junior brother D are already Star Radiance realm cultivators. He is simply not a match for them." Rin Ziheng shook his head. "You are thinking too simply. Although He Yunjun is not a match for junior sister Bailey and junior brother D, he can find someone to help. He has been in the inner palace for quite some time, so he knows quite a number of cultivators. Naturally, there are astral boundary cultivators among them. As long as he is willing to pay a certain price, the other party will not mind lending a hand." Hearing this, Chu Jinfeng and Rin Zimei couldn't help but look at each other. This was indeed a problem. If He Yunjun really found someone to help, then this matter would be somewhat complicated. Who knew what the final result would be if the two sides fought? He Yunjun still hasn't come yet. You don't have to be so worried. Ziren slowly said as he listened to Rin Ziheng and the others' conversation. This was not the first time he had heard of He Yunjun. This person's strength was ranked very high in the inner palace. After all, if D. Bachin and the others hadn't obtained the inheritance of the Devil Refining Tower, it would have taken them a long time to break through to the Starlight Realm just by relying on their own cultivation. He Yunjun was not very old, but he was able to cultivate to such a level by himself. It could be seen that his cultivation talent was very outstanding, and he was a powerful character. Just as Ziren and the others were talking, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly loosened her grip on Chu Yunyao. Bang! Chu Yunyao's body fell heavily to the ground. She hurriedly breathed in the fresh air greedily. For the first time she felt that being able to breathe air was such a happy thing. Bailey Hongzhuang frowned and looked coldly at Chu Yunyao, who was lying on the ground. Her eyes then turned to her side. Just now, when she was about to take Chu Yunyao's life, an attack suddenly attacked her, causing her to let go of her hand. Following this unforeseen event, everyone's eyes turned to the person who had come. This is going to be lively. Yunjun is here too. Chapter 3864. It's a pity that Chu Yunyao was only one step away from death, but He Yunjun came here at this time. Everyone couldn't help shaking their heads and sighing, and some people who hated Chu Yunyao couldn't help but sigh. With their strength, it was extremely difficult to kill Chu Yunyao. Originally, they just wanted to take advantage of Bailey Hongzhuang's hand to vent their anger for themselves. Unexpectedly, at this critical moment, Chu Yunyao saved their lives, which was really infuriating. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes fell on the man. She saw that the man was elegant and his skin was very white. He looked like a white-faced scholar, but his strength was very strong, which was completely inconsistent with his weak appearance. He Yunjun. Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. He Yunjun's figure quickly appeared beside Chu Yunxiang and quickly helped her up. Yunxiang, how are you? He Yunjun's voice was gentle, and her face was full of concern. Seeing He Yunjun coming, Chu Yunxiang couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, and her heart was also at ease. Yunjun, I'm fine. Chu Yunxiang took He Yunjun's hand. It's just Yunyao. But it's good that you're here. Hearing this, He Yunjun nodded and patted Chu Yunxiang's hand comfortingly. Don't worry, leave it to me. Chu Yunxiang immediately helped Chu Yunyao up from the ground and asked with concern, Yunyao, are you okay? Don't worry, I won't die. After standing up, Chu Yunyao looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, her eyes cold and resentful. She almost died in the hands of Bailey Hongzhuang. He Yunjun, quickly kill her. Chu Yunyao hurriedly said. With her current strength, it was obviously impossible to kill Bailey Hongzhuang by herself, but relying on He Yunjun's strength, she could still avenge her. Looking at Chu Yunyao's appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but sigh in her heart. This guy was really a bully. Bailey Hongzhuang, isn't it a bit too much for you to rush over and take Chu Yunyao's life today? Too much. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows and said with a chuckle, "When Chu Yunyao took Yingying away, why didn't you say that it was too much? Instead you helped her? If we had died in Chu Yunyao's hands back then, would you have thought that Chu Yunyao had gone overboard? Now you're saying that I'm going overboard? Your double standards are too laughable." As Bailey Hongzhuang finished speaking, the cultivators present could not help but laugh. Indeed, it was Chu Yunyao who started this matter from the beginning to the end. Now He Yunjun said that it was too much for Bailey Hongzhuang to come back to find trouble, which was a bit ridiculous. Only the officials were allowed to set fires, but the common people were not allowed to light lamps. This was not a reason that everyone could accept. No matter what you've done this far today, it's better to take a step back and let it go, He Yunjun said slowly with a thin and cold face. In fact, he didn't want to get involved in this matter at all, but he had to come forward because of Chu Yunshang. He also didn't have any good feelings for Chu Yunyao, because she really liked to cause trouble. Every time she caused trouble that couldn't be solved, He Yunjun had to come up to deal with it. Chapter 3865. He never liked to offend talented cultivators, because no one knew what level these cultivators would grow to in the future. It was not a wise move to offend a future peerless expert. What's more, Bailey Hongzhuang was not only a cultivator, but also a doctor with outstanding medical skills. This kind of person's appeal has always been very strong. If not for this, Bailey Hongzhuang would have only issued a bounty order, and the Chu Yunshang sisters would be trapped in the house. It can be seen how strong her appeal was. Now he had used the healing medicine made by Bailey Hongzhuang, and the effect was really amazing. Offending such a person would only cause trouble for himself in the future. Since Bailey Hongzhuang could issue a bounty order to trap Chu Yunshang and her sister in the house, she could also issue a bounty order to tie him down. In his principles, this was never what he wanted to do. Unfortunately, Chu Yunyao was Chu Yunshang's biological sister. He couldn't ignore it for Chu Yunshang's sake, which made him very annoyed. "That's it?" Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. "You say that's it? It's so simple. You don't even ask the person involved whether they agree or not. Yingying, do you think we can agree to this matter?" Shangguan Yingying chuckled. "Of course not. Did you hear that?" Bailey Hongzhuang looked at He Yunjun and others. "My Yingying said she doesn't agree." He Yunjun's eyes were gloomy and she said coldly, "So, you must carry out this matter to the end? It's good that you know." Seeing this, Chu Yunshang's face couldn't help but become a little ugly. She didn't expect that after He Yunjun appeared, Bailey Hongzhuang and others would still be so unforgiving. "Yunjun, what should we do?" He Yunjun patted Chu Yunshang's hand and said, "Don't worry, I've already made preparations." "Bailey Hongzhuang, do you really want to carry out this matter to the end? If this matter ends here, then I, He Yunjun, will owe you a favor. Otherwise it won't do you any good if we fight." He Yunjun slowly said, his voice filled with threat. He did not want to become enemies with Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, but if Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were determined to see this matter to the end, then he had no other choice. "Cut the crap. If you must stand up for them, then just do it." Bailey Hongzhuang's tone was even more resolute. There was no hatred between her and He Yunjun, but since He Yunjun was Chu Yunshang's lover, then they stood on the opposite side. There was absolutely no possibility of reconciliation. At the same time, Di Beichen also stood in front of Bailey Hongzhuang and looked at He Yunjun. He did not say a word, but he had already used his actions to tell He Yunjun that as long as He Yunjun dared to make a move, she would have to go through him first. Noticing Di Beichen's actions, He Yunjun could not help but frown. "Yunjun, this Di Beichen has also reached the strength of the Starlight Realm." Chu Yunshang reminded He Yunjun's ear. Hearing this, He Yunjun frowned. As early as before Bailey Hongzhuang and the others came back, he and Chu Yunshang discussed how to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Unexpectedly, in just a few months, the progress of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had completely exceeded their expectations. Chapter 3866. After noticing the change in He Yunjun's expression, Chu Yunshang's heart couldn't help but thump. Even if He Yunjun had come with his strength alone, he was not the opponent of Bailey Hongzhuang and Bailey Hongzhuang. "I know that both of you have reached the Starlight Realm, but I also have helpers." As soon as the voice fell, He Yunjun's eyes looked not far away. Then a figure slowly walked over under everyone's gaze. The man was wearing a black robe. Looking at his face, he should be 40 years old. His face was quite rough and there was a sense of majesty when he walked. Seeing the appearance of this cultivator, the faces of everyone present couldn't help but change a little. Niu Zhuang, it's Niu Zhuang. I didn't expect that He Yunjun had been prepared for a long time. Even Niu Zhuang was invited. This time, Bailey Hongzhuang's people are in a bad situation. Chu Yinyao had been silent. Bailey Hongzhuang's previous attack had made her lose her temper. At this moment she only hoped that she could live well, so after He Yunjun came she had not spoken. But at this moment, after seeing Niu Zhuang come, a smug smile appeared on her face. Bailey Hongzhuang, your good days are over. Chu Yinyao sneered. Bailey Hongzhuang, Di Beichen and others also glanced at the newcomer. The name Niu Zhuang was really in line with the characteristics of this man. However, from the expressions of everyone present, this Niu Zhuang's strength was probably extremely powerful. Otherwise, everyone would not show such an expression. Shengguan Yingying couldn't help but frown and ask, Senior Brother Ren, who is this Niu Zhuang? Why did everyone's expression change after seeing him? Niu Zhuang is a very famous cultivator in Penglai Inner Palace. His cultivation is very strong. Now he has reached the strength of the Second Order Starlight Realm. Ren Ziheng said slowly, and a touch of worry appeared between his eyebrows. This is bad. The strength of the Second Order Starlight Realm is much stronger than the First Order Starlight Realm. Once Niu Zhuang and He Yunjun join forces, then junior sister Bailey and the others won't be able to gain any benefits. Yes. There is another reason why this Niu Zhuang is so famous. He is extremely ruthless in his attacks. Most cultivators would not be willing to make an enemy out of him. We did not think that He Yunjun would be able to invite him over. I believe he must have paid a considerable price, Ren Zimei said with a frown. Star Ray Level 2? At this time, Mo Yunjue, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke. Hearing Mo Yunjue's words, Ren Ziheng nodded. That's right. He has already reached such a level. We have to remind junior sister Bailey to be more careful. A wise man doesn't fight when the odds are against him. Even if we can't take Chu Yunyao's life this time, we can come again next time. After all, He Yunjun had to pay a hefty price to invite Niu Zhuang. I don't believe that he can invite Niu Zhuang every time. It's just the Second Order Starlight Realm. You don't have to be so worried. Hong Zhuang and Beichen can handle it. Mo Yunjue said slowly. Following Mo Yunjue's words, Ren Ziheng and the others couldn't help but be stunned. Their eyes flashed with doubt. They didn't understand what Mo Yunjue meant. Could it be that after Bailey Hongzhuang and Chu Yunjue joined forces, they could actually defeat the Second Order Starlight Realm Niu Zhuang? Chapter 3867. Chu Yunshang, who was originally extremely nervous, after seeing Niu Zhuang, a smile suddenly appeared on her face. Yunjun, I didn't expect you to even invite Niu Zhuang. Chu Yunshang said happily. If it was only He Yunjun alone, it would be difficult for them to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, but Niu Zhuang was a second-order Astral Radiance cultivator. With his strength, dealing with a first-order Astral Radiance cultivator was not a problem. He Yunjun glanced at Chu Yunshang with a smile. I heard that something happened here and Niu Zhuang happened to be by my side. To be on the safe side, I invited him. Now it seems that my previous judgment was not wrong. Chu Yunshang nodded, looking at He Yunjun with eyes full of affection and worship. You are really prescient. If you didn't invite senior brother Niu, we would be in a dangerous situation today. Speaking of this, Chu Yunshang couldn't help but look at Bailey Hongzhuang and the others not far away. In just a few months, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others' improvement really made her afraid. If they couldn't deal with Bailey Hongzhuang and the others this time, then they would really be in trouble in the future. He Yunjun obviously understood Chu Yunshang's thoughts and immediately said, Don't worry, after today this trouble will not exist. Hearing this, Chu Yunshang looked up at He Yunjun, the smile in her eyes deepened. Yunjun, thank you. You are my woman, I naturally won't let anything happen to you. You don't need to thank me. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at He Yunjun and Chu Yunshang whispering. Although she didn't know what they were talking about, she could roughly judge some content from their expressions. Master, they seem to think that after inviting Niu Zhuang, a second-order Astral Radiance cultivator, they are already winning. Xiao Hei's eyes revealed a trace of ridicule, chuckling lightly. They are frogs at the bottom of the well, naturally thinking that Niu Zhuang, a second-order Astral Radiance cultivator, is enough. Unfortunately, they don't know that Di Beichen is also a second-order Astral Radiance cultivator. Xiao Bai's face showed a smug smile. Now is not a hurry to say it. Let's see how arrogant they are later. Presumably, when they know the truth, their expressions will be even more wonderful. Xiao Bai, you are getting worse and worse. Xiao He sighed aloud and then a sly smile sighs, however my thoughts are the same as yours. Yes. After hearing the gloomy words, gloat and qians, they couldn't help shakings. They were also looking forward to seeing what kind of expression He Yunjun and the others would have when their fantasies were shattered. After a while, Essence was sinned. He Yunjun, you must help me teach them a lesson. Chu Yunyao said aloud. With that, Chu Yunyao's eyes turned to Bailey Hongzhuang again and said, Bailey Hongzhuang, the humiliation you have inflicted on me, I will pay you back double in a while. A sinister smile appeared on Chu Yunyao's face. Her face, which was already swollen like a pig's head, could not be distinguished at the moment. She only felt that it was all wrinkled together and it was extremely ugly. He Yunjun looked at Chu Yunyao faintly, and a touch of disgust appeared in his eyes. It was just a short moment and he covered it up again. Chapter 3868. Although He Yunjuan's expression was hidden very quickly, Bailey Hongzhuang and others did not miss it. They were also amused in their hearts. Presumably the existence of Chu Yunyao made He Yunjun feel very disgusted. Otherwise she would not show such an expression. This Chu Yunyao is really powerful. My future brother-in-law has already hated her to this extent. I think if it weren't for Chu Yunshang, He Yunjun would have pretended not to be here today. When Xiren's lips evoked a sarcastic smile, whispering in Bailey Hongzhuang's ears. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen looked at each other, and there was a smile in their eyes. With Chu Yunyao's character, there should be very few people who can like her. Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. Although liking a person often starts from the appearance, after getting along for a long time, one would know what kind of person Chu Yunyao was. Otherwise, she and Chu Yunshang had the same appearance, but Chu Yunshang had already found a sweetheart, but she never had. Maybe it's because her character is too annoying so no one likes her at all. At that time, Duan Huali could have feelings for her, which made her feel so surprised that she can't forget it now. Shangguan Yingying shrugged. Listening to Shangguan Yingying's words, Bailey Hongzhuang and others couldn't help but give a thumbs up. It's really a good idea. You hit the nail on the head and directly exposed the truth. Okay. He Yunjun lightly responded to Chu Yunyao's words. Suddenly the pride on Chu Yunyao's face was even more obvious. Bailey Hongzhuang, you're going to die. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Chu Yunyao indifferently, her chin was slightly raised, and the corners of her lips evoked a playful arc. Chu Yunyao, you really don't know yourself. Can't you see that your future brother-in-law has already disliked you to the extreme? It's not easy for your sister to have a sister like you, and it's even more difficult for your brother-in-law. Shangguan Yingying made fun of her. As soon as these words came out, the cultivators present all covered their mouths and chuckled. This was also what they were thinking. He Yunjuan's expression suddenly became a little unnatural. He felt that his performance just now was not very obvious, but now that Bailey Hongzhuang had exposed his thoughts in public, he was a little embarrassed for a moment. Chu Yunyao was slightly stunned, then chuckled and said, Bailey Hongzhuang, don't talk nonsense. He Yunjun doesn't think so at all. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. You're really confident. However, even if you think this way, he might not think the same way. Perhaps he feels that it is better for me to take your life earlier. After all, having a burden like you is really disgusting. He wants to be with my sister, so he naturally has to take care of me. This is what he should do. Don't sow discord there. Chu Yunyao said coldly, no matter what you say now, you will die in my hands later. He Yunjun, you have to think about it. If you want to be with Chu Yunshang, you must take Chu Yunyao as a burden with you. Shangguan Yingying suddenly said, looking at He Yunjun playfully, how about this? You take Chu Yunshang away directly, and we will pretend that nothing happened between us. As for Chu Yunyao, this burden, we will help you solve it directly, and save you trouble in the future. Chapter 3869. Chu Yunshang looked up and saw He Yunjuan's hesitant expression, and her face suddenly became ugly. In fact, she always knew that He Yunjun didn't have a good impression of Chu Yunyao. If it weren't for her sake, He Yunjun wouldn't even bother to take care of Chu Yunyao. The things that Chu Yunyao had made several times before had already made He Yunjun feel very troublesome. This time He Yunjun even invited Niu Zhuang. Although she was very happy before, at this moment she came back to her senses and knew that He Yunjun had paid a certain price to invite Niu Zhuang. In the end, she didn't manage her sister well. If she could manage Chu Yunyao and let her restrain her temper, then things would not have become like this. Yunjun. Chu Yunshang couldn't help calling out. Listening to Chu Yunshang's words, Yunjun recovered from his thoughts. If possible, he really hoped that everything would be as Shangguan Yingying said, but unfortunately Chu Yunshang was here now, and under the watchful eyes of the public. Even if he wanted to, there was nothing he could do. Lowering his head slightly, Yunjun noticed the worry in Chu Yunshang's eyes. Yunshang, don't worry, I won't let anything happen to Chu Yunyao. Yunjun, I think what this little junior sister said is very reasonable. This Chu Yunyao will only cause trouble all day long. You might as well let her fend for herself. In this way you can save a lot of trouble. Niu Zhuang suddenly said. With the sound of Niu Zhuang's voice falling, the faces of the people present became wonderful. I didn't expect this Niu Zhuang to be a temperamental person. He directly saw through the truth. Chu Jinfeng sneered. Ren Zimei nodded in agreement. Niu Zhuang has such a character. He is not afraid of offending people at all. Fortunately he is strong enough. Otherwise, with his mouth, I am afraid that he will make many enemies in Penglai Palace. Niu Zhuang, what do you mean by this? Chu Yunyao's face suddenly became a little embarrassed. She didn't expect that the person Yunjun invited to help would ridicule her, making the people around her laugh at her. It was really hateful. What do I mean? Niu Zhuang laughed. Isn't my meaning obvious enough? You should be aware of how much trouble you've caused during this period of time. If Yunjun has the time to help you deal with these troublesome matters, it would be better for her to cultivate by herself. Perhaps she has already reached my level of cultivation, then there is no need to ask for my help. Niu Zhuang, you've gone too far. Chu Yunyao said angrily, no matter what I do, it's our own family business. There's no need for an outsider like you to interfere. Seeing Chu Yunyao's attitude, Niu Zhuang couldn't help but frown. His voice couldn't help but become cold. If you really don't need me to intervene, then I'll leave. Chu Yunshang's face suddenly changed and she angrily rebuked, Yunyao, what nonsense are you talking about? Quickly apologized to senior brother Niu. Chu Yunyao's face was full of resentment, but she also knew that she shouldn't have said that just now. Apologize quickly. Yunjun said with a gloomy face. Senior brother Niu, I'm sorry. Chu Yunyao said slowly. She lowered her head, and her eyes flickered with deep resentment. She didn't know what kind of bad luck she had today, but everyone actually came to mock and ridicule her. She was simply about to die from anger. Chapter 3870. Listening to Chu Yunyao's apology, Niu Zhuang snorted coldly and said, This time I will let it go for Yunjuan's sake. Next time if you dare to say such words to me again, I will not be polite to you. You should know that Yunjun is your brother-in-law. It's one thing for him to be bullied by you, but I have nothing to do with you. If you dare to talk nonsense to me, then you're courting death. Niu Zhuang's face did not hide his disgust at all. He did not have any good feelings for Chu Yunyao. If it were not for his good relationship with Yunjun and the conditions offered by Yunjun that satisfied him, he would not have come today. Listening to Niu Zhuang's fierce words, Chu Yunyao's face suddenly became ugly. She really didn't understand. Niu Zhuang was obviously the helper invited by Yunjun. Now he even targeted her. He looked like Bailey Hongzhuang's people. It was really hateful. Senior brother Niu Yunyao has always been like this. Don't be angry with her. Chu Yunshang said softly, her eyes full of fear. It was already very troublesome for them to offend Bailey Hongzhuang. If they offended Niu Zhuang, they would definitely die today. Niu Zhuang looked at Chu Yunshang faintly, and his expression eased a little. You two sisters look exactly the same, but your personalities are completely different. You are much better than your sister. Chu Yunshang smiled awkwardly. She was helpless in her heart, but she could not say anything. However, Chu Yunyao only felt that Niu Zhuang's words were like a slap on her face, which made her feel extremely bad. She asked herself that she did not offend Niu Zhuang, but Niu Zhuang came to find trouble with her. If she could become stronger in the future, she must get back the humiliation today. Senior brother Niu, today I have to ask you to help me solve these problems. Yunjun looked serious. Hearing this, Niu Zhuang waved his hand. Since I promised you, I will help you solve them. Thank you, senior brother Niu. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others glanced at Niu Zhuang indifferently. They were not nervous at all. They were just waiting for Niu Zhuang to make his move. Then they would let him taste the taste of regret. Bailey Hongzhuang, I'll give you one more chance. Do you really want to go all the way today? Yunjun said coldly. Bailey Hongzhuang sneered, and a cold light flashed in her eyes. I must kill Chu Yinyao today. If you must help her, then we can only meet on the battlefield. Seeing this, a complicated look flashed in He Yunjuan's eyes. If that's the case, then we can only fight it out. In the next moment, He Yunjun drew her weapon and attacked Bailey Hongzhuang without hesitation. When He Yunjun took action, Chu Yinyao also shouted, He Yunjun, you must kill her. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were cold. The lapis lazuli sword instantly appeared in her hand and met He Yunjuan's attack. Since junior brother he has already taken action, then I can't delay. Niu Zhuang laughed and immediately locked his eyes on Di Beichen. Facing Niu Zhuang's gaze, Di Beichen's expression was indifferent and indifferent. The flowing light sword also appeared in his hand. His attitude had already made everything clear. Junior brother Di, I have been entrusted to do my duty. Sorry to offend you. As soon as his voice fell, Niu Zhuang directly stabbed at Di Beichen with his sword. Chapter 3871. Bailey Hongzhuang and He Yunjun instantly clashed, and the aura of the Star Radiance realm was completely exposed. Every time the two of them clashed, the force that shot out was extremely frightening. After the two of them started to exchange blows, the crowd all retreated a certain distance. The ripples of a Star Radiance realm cultivator's battle were not ordinarily strong. If they were too close, once they were affected, it would really be accidental injury. I didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest to be so unyielding. Senior brother Niu is a Star Radiance Realm Level 2 cultivator, and they actually dare to exchange blows with him. This courage is really impressive. So what if they have the courage? If their abilities are not enough, won't they still die in the hands of senior brother Niu? From what I see, that might not be the case. Don't forget, Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest are the inheritors of the Devil Training Tower. Their battle abilities are definitely very strong, and they might even be able to fight above their level. Everyone's eyes flickered with a curious light. They were extremely curious about the outcome of this battle. After all, both parties' abilities were very strong. A battle between Star Radiance Realm cultivators was not something that could be easily seen on a normal day. Today it could be considered as a feast for their eyes, and they understood just how powerful the battle abilities of Star Radiance Realm cultivators were. After He Yunjun exchanged blows with Bailey Hongzhuang, he felt how powerful Bailey Hongzhuang was. Previously he only heard that Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest's battle abilities were not weak, but he did not have any actual experience. He even thought that there were some elements of it. But now that he had personally exchanged blows with them, he finally understood that Bailey Hongzhuang's ability was really very strong. Logically speaking, Bailey Hongzhuang had just broken through to the Star Radiance realm, and he had already been in the Star Radiance realm for a period of time. But now that they were exchanging blows, his strength was actually not comparable to Bailey Hongzhuang. This was simply too unbelievable. Ding ding ding. Bailey Hongzhuang's speed was as fast as lightning. One after another, her attacks were like a torrential rain that mercilessly attacked He Yunjun. Under Bailey Hongzhuang's attacks, He Yunjuan's response was somewhat inferior. With a slight carelessness, a bloody wound appeared on his body. Bailey Hongzhuang was originally curious about He Yunjuan's strength, but after exchanging blows, she knew that He Yunjun was no match for her. When Bailey Hongzhuang stopped, everyone found that He Yunjun's body had dozens of large and small scars. His clothes were already dyed red with blood, but these wounds were not deep and did not harm his vital organs. The cultivators present were not stupid people. From this point, they knew that Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was much stronger than He Yunjuan's. If Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to take his life, she could have killed him directly just now. Her current appearance was just to tease He Yunjun. I didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang's strength to be so powerful. She is completely beating He Yunjuan's rhythm. The cultivators present were all stunned. Originally they were still thinking about who was stronger. Although Bailey Hongzhuang had obtained the inheritance of the Demon Refining Pagoda, He Yunjuan's reputation had been around for a long time. But they did not expect that He Yunjun would not be able to resist at all. Yunjun. After seeing He Yunjun like this, Chu Yunshang couldn't help but call out. Her voice was full of worry. He Yunjun raised his hand indicating Chu Yunshang not to worry, but his eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 3872. With your strength, it's impossible for you to defeat me. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was indifferent, and her voice was gentle and fearless. She did not have any thoughts about He Yunjun. If it were not for Chu Yunxiang, there would be no interaction between them at all. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's contemptuous words, He Yunjuan's face was a little ugly. He had always boasted that his strength was very outstanding, but he did not expect that he would be defeated by such a young woman today. Moreover, when the two sides fought, he had almost no strength to fight back. Compared to the scars on his body, Bailey Hongzhuang did not suffer the slightest bit of injury, which really gave him a big blow. When Chu Yunyao saw that Bailey Hongzhuang defeated He Yunjun so easily, she could not help but widen her eyes, and her face was full of shock. How could it be? These words kept appearing in Chu Yunyao's mind. He Yunjun had always been an extremely powerful person in her mind, but now he was defeated by Bailey Hongzhuang, which also gave her a big blow. Facing Bailey Hongzhuang, He Yunjun did not know what to say for a moment. He could not help but look at Niu Zhuang, who was not far away. He could only pin his hopes on Niu Zhuang. After all, Niu Zhuang's cultivation was higher than his. Bailey Hongzhuang would not be his opponent. As Niu Zhuang's attack attacked Di Beichen, he found that Di Beichen was young, but there was no panic on his face. This was not an ordinary calmness. However, when Niu Zhuang's attack collided with Di Beichen's attack, he felt the power from the sword. Niu Zhuang's eyes narrowed, and there was a flash of surprise in his eyes. That was because he found that Di Beichen's strength was not weaker than his. This was impossible. Niu Zhuang immediately had this thought in his mind. Even if Di Beichen had broken through to the Starlight Realm, he was a level 2 Starlight Realm cultivator. Di Beichen and the others were no match for him. What's more, he had been stuck at the second level of the Astral Magnate Realm for a very long time. Among all the cultivators he came into contact with, as long as they were below the second level of the Astral Magnate Realm, none of them were his match. However, Di Beichen's strength was actually able to contend against him. It was truly unbelievable. However, Di Beichen didn't give Niu Zhuang any time to think. He attacked Niu Zhuang without hesitation. When everyone saw that not only was Di Beichen not defeated, but he even dared to take the initiative to attack Niu Zhuang, they could not help but be dumbfounded. It can't be. Di Beichen is actually not defeated by Niu Zhuang? This is too shocking. Could it be that the inheritor of the Demon Refining Tower is actually so abnormal? A level 1 Starlight Realm cultivator can actually deal with a level 2 Starlight Realm cultivator. This is really terrifying. No wonder Bailey Hongzhuang and the others did not show the slightest fear when they saw Niu Zhuang coming. It turns out that they were simply confident in dealing with him. Everyone suddenly understood. They looked at Di Beichen with eyes full of admiration and jealousy. Previously, Di Beichen rarely showed off, so they did not pay much attention to him. At this moment, they realized that Di Beichen's strength was actually so strong. Chapter 3873. The reason why they had always been wary of Niu Zhuang was not only because he was a rank 2 astral magnate, but also because his attacks were extremely ruthless. It was said that no one below rank 2 could match him. Niu Zhuang was already 40 years old, much older than them. His strength had already stagnated at rank 2 astral magnate for quite a few years. Everyone knew that his potential seemed to have been exhausted. In these few years he had not improved at all. Many people even thought that he would be stuck at rank 2 astral magnate for the rest of his life. Niu Zhuang obviously knew of this possibility, but he was not discouraged. Instead, he continuously worked hard to raise his battle strength. It was because of this that his battle strength had increased to a terrifying level. As long as it was a cultivator below rank 2 astral magnate, there was no one who could match him. However, Di Beichen had only just reached the astral magnate realm. To be able to fight with Niu Zhuang without losing, this was not an ordinary level of strength. Hearing Ren Zimei's words, Ren Ziheng shook his head and said, "Your judgment is wrong. Di Beichen is not rank 1 astral magnate, but rank 2 astral magnate." When these words came out, Chu Jinfeng and Ren Zimei could not help but be stunned. They looked at Ren Ziheng in astonishment and raised their voice. "What did you say? Di Beichen has already broken through to rank 2 astral magnate?" "That's right." Ren Ziheng nodded seriously. "From the aura he is emitting, he has definitely reached rank 2 astral magnate." "It can't be?" Chu Jinfeng was a little suspicious. How long has it been since junior brother Di and the rest left? To be able to break through to the astral magnate realm is already very abnormal. He even broke through to rank 2 astral magnate. This is too unbelievable. Geniuses are always different from the rest. Ren Ziheng sighed, but his gaze could not help but fall on Mo Yunjue. At this moment he could not help but recall what Mo Yunjue had said before. Looks like they really did not care about the rank 2 astral magnate Niu Zhuang. Junior brother Wen, is Ren Ziheng's judgment correct? Chu Jinfeng asked. When Ziren smiled faintly and nodded, that's right. My god, do you still want us to live? Chu Jinfeng smiled bitterly. Back then their cultivation was stronger than Di Beichen and the rest. Who would have thought that in the blink of an eye, it would be impossible to catch up to Di Beichen and the rest? Di Beichen and Niu Zhuang fought together. In the process of this fight, he also found that Niu Zhuang's fighting strength was indeed very strong. Compared to the ordinary second-order stellar magnate cultivators, Niu Zhuang's fighting strength could almost compete with third-order stellar magnate cultivators. However, he was also not simple. It would not be easy for Niu Zhuang to defeat him. I really didn't expect that at such a young age, you would actually break through to the second level of the astral magnate realm. After a few exchanges, Niu Zhuang also realized that Di Beichen was not a cultivator who had just broken through to the star realm, but had already reached the second stage of the star realm. Not only that, but Di Beichen's battle prowess was even stronger than that of a rank 2 stellar magi cultivator. To have such a cultivation at such an age, his potential was limitless. Same to you, Di Beichen said faintly. However, Niu Zhuang's words stirred up a storm in everyone's hearts. Chapter 3874. At such a young age he has already broken through to the second level of star radiance. The inheritor of the Demon Tower is indeed worthy of his reputation. Niu Zhuang's gaze towards Di Beichen changed a little. In fact, the reason why he chose to fight today was partly because he was curious about how strong the inheritor of the Demon Tower was. After this fight he also understood the gap between them. He had just broken through to this level and could have such a fighting strength. It was really amazing. He Yunjun had always hoped that Niu Zhuang could defeat Di Beichen and then come to help him. However, at this moment, after hearing Niu Zhuang say that Di Beichen was also at the second level of star radiance, he couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Second level of star radiance? Di Beichen is also a cultivator at the second level of star radiance? Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up slightly and said, only your friends are allowed to break through to the second level of star radiance, and we are not allowed to break through to the second level of star radiance? How did you break through so quickly? He Yunjun found it hard to believe. We naturally have our own methods. There is no need to tell you. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled coldly and then locked his eyes on Chu Yunyao. Chu Yunyao, you will definitely die today. Take advantage of the current situation to take a good look at the scene in front of you. In the future you can only stay in hell. Chu Yunshang and Chu Yunyao were also dumbfounded at this moment. Their minds were unable to turn around for a moment. They had clearly turned the situation around before. How did it return to the initial situation now? Yunjun, what should we do? Chu Yunshang couldn't help but look at He Yunjun, a thick panic on his face. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were really too strong. If they said that they didn't have any helpers, sooner or later they would lose to Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. He Yunjun was also confused at this moment. His deep eyes were filled with a complicated light. He had always thought that after inviting Niu Zhuang, they had already won. He didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were so abnormal, completely destroying his plan. Yunjun, you go and find some more helpers. Chu Yunyao said, with your ability you can definitely find some stronger helpers. As long as they come, you can kill Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing that Chu Yunyao still wanted to kill Bailey Hongzhuang at this time and didn't know the seriousness of the situation, the disgust in He Yunjuan's eyes became stronger. Chu Yunyao, don't dream. There are only a few cultivators above the Starlight Realm in the Penglai Inner Palace. Where am I going to find so many people to help me? The current situation is entirely because of you, yet you don't even have the slightest bit of shame. Listening to He Yunjuan's accusation, Chu Yunyao couldn't help but be stunned, and then her face was filled with anger. She had already been humiliated again and again today, and now even He Yunjun had come to humiliate her. It's unreasonable. He Yunjun said angrily, if I didn't have feelings for your sister, I wouldn't care about your life and death at all. Bailey Hongzhuang saw the conflict between He Yunjun and Chu Yunyao. She was not in a hurry to take action. She just watched them bite each other. It was very interesting. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.